Prince Tristram getting out, going up to tackle it now. Priceless Princess under the whip. Ravenel on the outside. Government House coming again. Dundas Lane going for a split, and there followed further back Prince Whitan. And with about 300 to go, it's Imprimatur under the whip, the leader. Drought getting clear with Ravenel is coming out after the leader from Tristram, but Imprimatur refusing to give in at the 200. A length and a half to Ravenel and Drought. Ravenel and Drought are getting to it now. It's 3 in line with 50 to go. Ravenel and Drought have drawn level with Imprimatur. Ravenel on the inside puts his head in front. Ravenel's won it.
Ravenel is the biggest winner to date for the imported Northern Dancer stallion Voodoo Rhythm, who was brought to Victoria in 1982. Voodoo Rhythm now stands alongside Biscay and Dalmatia at Beamer Stud Scone. For Ron Quinton, 8 times Premier Sydney jockey, the win was a further stimulus to his climb back to the top after being sidelined. For Pat Hyland, well, just one of those things.
Well, that just about completes the Spring Classic scene for colts in Melbourne, and our next stop is Perth, for which I'll leave you in the capable hands of Brian Martin.
Thank you, Bill. But just before we head west, there is one more important race in Melbourne I'd like to show you. It's the Sandown Guineas, Group 2 race over the metric mile at Sandown, but it boasts a real gallery of horses amongst its previous winners. This year, the Sandown Guineas rewarded the consistency of one of Sydney's best colts, while at the same time providing us with a sneak preview of a future Group 1 winner.
50 to go. Command Code a half length in front of Cavalry, 1 El Vaquero. Military Plumes travelled pretty well next from Highly Regal, then Sea Swell. King of Brooklyn under great pressure from Warren. Cavalry went up on the outside as they straightened and took the lead on straightening from Command Code. Military Plume is coming at him very comfortably on the outside from Sea Swell. I think Cavalry's gone. Military Plumes grabbed him. Sea Swell coming at them from King of Brooklyn. And with 2:50 to go, Military Plume and Sea Swell have beaten off Cavalry from King of Brooklyn. It's Military Plume ahead in front. Seaswell getting to him. Seaswell draws level as they get near the line. Stride to the post, and Seaswell's won it. Ahead to Military.
This year, the West Australian Turf Club revamped their summer carnival so as to fit a $1 million weight for age race in with the festivities surrounding the defence of the America's Cup. Consequently, the first race of importance in Perth was the Rothwells, a weight for age event over 1,800 metres. This year, the Rothwells represented a head-on clash between 2 outstanding Sir Tristram colts. One, Military Plume, you saw in the Sandown Guineas. The other is Fair Sir, owned by Laurie Connell, the man whose Rothwell's Merchant Bank sponsors this great contest.
Zemindar still out by 2 1/4. Military Plume bolting. 2 away, running third. St Edwin's Pride, Rare Flyer. Followed by Fair Sir off the rails now from Track Jester, Rocket Racer. Buckshot Bandit, Prince Whitten, Gypsy, Frolic, Wellback, Medical Missionary. Hallpack's Image in the last 2. Lonely Knights and Northern Fine. They've got 500 to go. And Zemindar a length and a quarter. Military Plume is closing rapidly. A length and a half to Fair Sir going to third. He was followed by St Edwin's Pride. 3 to Rare Flyer. Track Jester, Rocket Racer, Buckshot Bandit into the straight. Zemindar led. Military Plume and Fair Sir, followed by St Edwin's Pride. Fair Sir has raced to the front of the 200 over Military Plume. 3 away to St Edwin's Pride, followed then by Zemindar and Gypsy Frolic. Here's a go. Fair Sir and Military Plume. Fair Sir, Military Plume has got it. Military Plume has come back, taken the lead, and has won ahead over Fair Sir.
After the Rothwells, trainer Buster O'Malley caught almost everyone by surprise when he withdrew Fair Sir from the local derbies to concentrate on the big feature mile races, the Railway Stakes and the Australasian. This left Military Plume at almost unbackable odds for the $150,000 Group 1 Western Australian Derby at Ascot on December 27.
Miss Buffett, Cushinda, Lonely Knights and Jean Dray, but Military Plume went to the front. 4:50 they go by a head over St Edwin's Pride. Congressman going wide from Miss Buffett, Prince Whitten, then Lonely Knights with Sir Walkup, Jean Dray and Cushinda. Military Plume leads for home of the Derby. A length and a half, St Edwin's Pride, Congressman. Jean Dray is finishing well, so is Lonely Knight. Clark has pulled the whip on Military Plume and Jean Dray took the lead. Jean Dray got a neck in front from Military Plume, followed by Congressman and Lonely Knight, but it's Jean Dray in front from Congressman, Military Plume and Jean Dray. Jean Dray's won the Derby 3/4.
Although being given the run of the race by Michael Clark, Military Plume was disappointing in the run home. But despite that, punters were prepared to give him another chance in the $500,000 Group 1 Channel 9 Australian Derby over the same course and distance on January 17.
Closing from the back now, taking off Gendre around the outside from Bustler, Congressman and then Military Plume. A length and a half to Lonely Knight, Sir Walk Up and last Barbarino Boy, but he's only about 8 or 10 from the leader. Racing to the last 800 now, and Miss Buffett has gone to the front. Led ahead St Edwin's Pride, Gendre to third on the outside from Escorted and Bustler. One to Military Plume right over the leaders, followed by Congressman, Lonely Knights, Barbarino Boy and Sir Walk Up last at the 600, and St Edwin's Pride has punched to the lead. A length Miss Buffett, Gendre, a length and a quarter, Military Plume from Bustler, followed by Congressman, Lonely Knights, and then Barbarino Boy, Sir Walk Up and Escorted has gone at the 400, and Gendre's dashed to the front. Gendre into the straight by 2 lengths, St Edwin's Pride, around the Military Plume, followed by Miss Buffett and Congressman. Gendre at the 250, led by 2 over Military Plume, Miss Buffett, St Edwin's Pride and Barbarino Boy, 100 out, it's still Gendre. Military Plume is closing now, but Pommy Pike is riding for dear life, and Gendre's got the Derby one. Gendre's holding Military Plume, 1 length and a quarter, 3 away third.
Gendre is the 4th individual classic winner sired by Twig Moss, and it was largely Gendre's 2 derbies that enabled the stallion to become champion Australian-based stallion for the 2nd successive season. After the win, part owner and trainer Ted Martinovich was flooded with offers for Gendre, but it took almost 2 months for Mike Willis's Transmedia Park stud to finally secure a 50% interest in the colt for an undisclosed amount.
David Hayes, who represented the Colin Hayes stable in Perth, said after the Australian Derby that Military Plume had been fairly and squarely outstayed by Gendre. That was to have been the end of Military Plume's Perth campaign. But when the colt did so well in the stable the following week, Hayes bravely backed him up for a return clash with favourite Fair Sir in the Swan Premium Australasian, a $1 million weight for age race over 1,600 metres at Ascot, just 9 days after the Derby.
And the racing, St Edwin's Pride broke away first over Rising Prince, and Jungle Dawn was away well. Fair Sir ridden along early to get up into a good spot from Roman Artisan. Lockley Tradition coming across quickly. But the filly, Jungle Dawn, shot to the front into the straight. A length and a half, Rising Prince from Lockley Tradition, followed by Fair Sir, Fimiston, King Phoenix, can't find any more. Jungle Dawn in front from Lockley Tradition, Rising Prince, Fimiston, and here comes Fair Sir. Fair Sir's gone to Jungle Dawn. Here comes Military Plume, but Fair Sir's won it. Fair Sir won it at Military Plume.
The Australasian was Fair Sir's 5th win from only 11 starts and took his earnings to $854,415. Laurie Connell gave 180,000 New Zealand dollars for the colt at Trentham in 1985. The winning jockey was Mark Sestich. And Bill, that's just part of the big campaign, of course, of racing over there in Perth. We'll be back with the Railway Stakes and the Perth Cup a little later on.
Yeah, there's some thrilling races to come. You know, one of the really significant additions to the Australasian racing calendar has been the Cadbury Australian Guineas. That great colt, True Version, won the inaugural running of the Guineas last year. The success of the innovation saw the Guineas promoted to Group 1 status in only its 2nd year. The lead-up races showed Victorian Derby winner Raveneau was right back to his best form. As you can see here, he gives Pat Hyland an armchair ride to win the Debonair at Flemington on January 31.
Tail end of the field, and Myocard well back inside the 200. Raveneau 2 lengths clear. British still running on gallantly from Vo Rogue and then Warned, and Myocard, but Raveneau a good win for Hyland, an easy win. Already under pressure.
Raveneau was sent out equal favourite for the Australian Guineas with the Boom Sydney colt Myocard. Bounding Away was also right in contention. And oh yes, back from the Perth campaign was Military Plume.
In front of him and Tristram at the rear. They've raced past the 800. Vo Rogue by a half length. Silver Shark 2 lengths Bounding Away, and Neck Raveneau the outside. Military Plume following Raveneau, then Aberidi, Hunter's Ace, and they're being followed by Shoot and a Miss and a Gap Northern Copy from British Steel, Mr. Impertinent, and Myocard second last as they're homeward bound. 500 to go. Vo Rogue brings them into the straight by 2 lengths over. Bounding Away now being urged along by Dittman. Raveneau the outside with Military Plume. Silver Shark beaten. Aberidi, Hunter's Ace, Shoot and a Miss and Warned. They race down to the 200, and Military Plume looms alongside Vo Rogue. Bounding Away can't go on with it. Raveneau's beaten. Hunter's Ace battling away and finishing gamely as Warned, but Military Plume put pay to Vo Rogue from Hunter's Ace, and Michael Clark lands Military Plume the winner of the Cadbury Australian Guineas from Vo Rogue.
Trainer Colin Hayes gave 360,000 New Zealand dollars for Military Plume at Trentham in 1985. Shortly after the Guineas, a syndicate headed by Widden Stud purchased a half interest in Military Plume for $1 million. Widden, of course, stand initial Australian Guineas victor, True Version.
At this point, it's timely to look at the way the New Zealand classic scene developed. And this year, we were fortunate to have our own man on the spot in New Zealand during the carnival. Brian, tell us about it.
Well, Bill, the New Zealand Classics get underway just as the Melbourne Cup Carnival is winding down. Riccarton Racecourse in Christchurch is the venue for the first of the Fillies Classics, the Group 1 Wrightson 1000 Guineas. Fittingly, it provided a great insight as to the relative abilities of two top-class females.
On the rails to rough is joined by Midnight Lady, the outsider. Just in behind those, but trying to get through then would have been Magdalene. It's followed over on the inside of those runners by Golden Amethyst. Round the outside, Trotanoir, Heroica in the middle. Our Big Bird is back to the tail of the field. And just on the inside to Neverwinter. But round towards the home turn now, and Tidal Light, the favourite. She's out 4 wide coming around the bend. But she's gone round and scurried into the lead. Cure, though, is going pretty well along the rail. Rockout Tiffany has given it away. Midnight Lady's wider out and further out to Amorous. Coming down the outside is Trotanoir. Just in behind those, then they were followed by Magdalene. But with 300 to go, Cure's in front. It's Cure from Tidal Light, and the others, they're hard at work. Magdalene's finishing on pretty well down through the middle and down on the inside. Midnight Lady and further in then to Radiate. But down to the post, and Cure has got it won by 2 lengths from Tidal Light. Magdalene's
Cure was one of 7 individual Group 1 winners this season, sired by the stallion phenomenon Sir Tristram. She is owned and bred by Okawa Stud and descends directly from the famous broodmare Miss Cute, imported to Okawa over 60 years ago by the late T.H. Lowry, whose grandson Tom currently owns the stud.
Now here's a performance. Watch what happens as jockey Gary Grill sends the grey Steely Dan straight to the front in the Group 1 New Zealand 2000 Guineas.
They're on their way. Shannon came out 2 lengths behind the field. Steely Dan began best. Also kicking out to the leaders, Mickeystown. Right behind them is Bolton, and up out wider to Arctic Wolf, starting to surge up and around them. 500 metres to run in the Feltex New Zealand Guineas, and they're at the 400. Steely Dan, the leader. Arctic Wolf is being pushed along in the middle of the track. I think he may have put his head in front, but David Walsh has gone for the stick, and Steely Dan's doing a little better. Arctic Wolf being called upon. Mickeystown starting to drive up on the inside. The others, they're beaten. It's Steely Dan now. It's Steely Dan. Arctic Wolf under heavy pressure, and Mickeystown, but Steely Dan, the grey's doing it too easily. He's out by 2 lengths. Down towards the line he goes, and he's won the Guineas well. Second home, Mickeystown.
Steely Dan is clearly the most significant winner yet for Standard, the very fast sedan stallion who stands at Grange William Stud. Steely Dan fetched $10,000 at the Waikato yearling sale in 1985 and is the first stakes winner of the unraced Sovereign Prince mare Miss Jubilee.
Tidal Light went from strength to strength after the 1000 Guineas, which after all was her first start in group company. She then came out and convincingly won the Group 3 Wrightson Waikato Guineas. She donkey-licked last season's top filly Royal Heights in the Dulcie Stakes, and she then lauded it over the colts in the Auckland Breeders' Avondale Guineas. This moderate-looking filly had won 7 of her 10 starts when she faced up for a rematch with Cure in the $250,000 Group 1 New Zealand Derby, the country's second richest race at Ellerslie on December 26th.
They race down 800 metres to go in the Derby, and the 2 leaders Grand Nudge on the outside of Cardinal, a length and a half Cure on the inside of the Bishop. Handy, there's Mickeystown working forward, but it's Brown Addition shot to the lead, 200 metres to go. Here's Tidal Light, a big run after her. She's going to grab him. Then the Bishop. Cure's coming into it, the other filly. And on the inside, Tidal Light and Cure, the 2 fillies in the Derby, and the Bishop coming after the 2 of them. Tidal Light, Cure going after with huge strides, but little Tidal Light has won the Derby.
The connections of Cure and all the other top-class 3-year-old fillies must have heaved a big sigh of relief when it was announced that Tidal Light would miss the Group 1 New Zealand Oaks at Trentham on January 24.
They come across the top, about 8.50 to go, and it's Cure in front by a length from Golden Amethyst. Dungarvin's had a dream run. Tribella's lying fourth, then Alouetto. Getting closer up on the inside of these in is Magdalene. They've cracked the pace on a bit now. 2 lengths to Sounds Like Fun. Midfield on the fence, but improving. They race along now, just over 200 to go. It's Cure here. Starline improving ground. The outside is followed all the way by Sounds Like Fun. Starline's kick well clear now from Sounds Like Fun. They're followed by Tribella. Twilior's running on well, but the Oaks is going to go to Starline. She's away in the lead now from Sounds Like Fun. And Twilior, Starline, Sounds Like Funny, Twilior, Tribell.
Starline's win in the New Zealand Oaks helped Sir Tristram progress significantly toward his first New Zealand Financial Sires Premiership.
While Starline was giving the other girls a battering in the Oaks, co-trainers Jim Gibbs and Roger James had brought Tidal Light back from a short letter and were aiming her for the Air New Zealand Stakes. The filly resumed with a sensational third to Courier Bay in the Group 1 Lion Brown Sprint at Te Rapa. That run cleaned her up nicely for the $175,000 Air New Zealand Stakes, the most important weight for age race in New Zealand.
Racing in the Air New Zealand Stakes. One of the first out, Tidal Light. She's going to sprint up to go with them. Kosher on the outside of it. Coronel and ridden hard on the inside. Salvique to go with them. Tidal Light's going to get the lead. No, Salvique's going to hold her out on the inside. The pace right on. They head into the straight and Salvique slips away. Tidal Light's the first to challenge a length away. They're three back. Coronel then followed by Random Chance. Salvique in charge. Here's little Tidal Light coming at it with the lighter weight. Salvique in front. Tidal Light levelling on the outside and got the lead, and she's going to fight a bit like a storming home late. But Tidal Light in front, 100 metres to go. Salvique four away, a bit like a Tidal Light in front holding Salvique, and she's going to win it. She's Tidal Light's home James, a length and a half second. Salvique a bit like a third.
It came as no surprise to anyone when Gibbs and James elected to send Tidal Light to Sydney for the autumn. The shock came when Bounding Away and Diamond Shower were race morning scratchings for the Canterbury Guineas. This left Tidal Light a long odds-on favourite at her Aussie debut.
Little Tidal Light has exploded to them on the outside, and Tidal Light left them standing at the 200 mark. She shot clear. Sound Horizon getting a rails run, and further out is Imprimatur. Tidal Light getting right out to the middle of the track is a mile too good, and look at this little lady go. What a magnificent filly. Tidal Light has bolted in the Guineas.
After that superb victory, Tidal Light went sore and was lost to us for the remainder of the season. She bowed out with her record-reading 14 starts, 10 wins, 2 seconds and a third, for earnings equalling $425,088 Australian dollars. She will be remembered as one of the best fillies of her time.
Well, Ian, what a tragedy that injury cut short Tidal Light's career.
So true, Brian, so true. But in any case, it's history now that Tidal Light was missing from the Rosehill Guineas field. So was Maya Card, whose trainer Jeff Chapman was confident enough to take on bigger obstacles. Although those horses were missing, the field was strengthened by the arrival of Vo Rogue, Cossack Warrior, El Vaquero and Raveneau, the first four home in the Alistair Clark Stakes at Moonee Valley 3 weeks earlier.
Vo Rogue has scorched away with an unassailable lead in the middle stages of the race, seemingly. He's about 8 lengths in front of Imprimatur, Mickey's Town in third place, and then Raveneau, followed by Bounding Away, Balciano, Diamond Shower, and then El Vaquero, Cossack Warriors, midfield at the moment. A good gap in the field then to Ring Joe, followed by Barbarino, Boy, Nakoma, Magdalene, Ancient Marion, Trick of a Boy, and back at the tail, Sound Horizon, who's the best part of 20 lengths from this leader. 700 out, and Vo Rogue came back to them in a hurry, led by 2 lengths on Imprimatur. Mickey's Town in third place, then Raveneau, Diamond Shower moving up boldly 3 wide. On the fence, Bounding Away as they come to the turn. He's off the rail now, getting between horses as they come to the corner, followed closely by Balciano. Ring Joe taking off around the field at the head of the others. El Vaquero, Cossack Warriors under the whip and a mile back in the field as they turn, and Sound Horizon's got to go via the Cape on the corner. In the straight, Imprimatur shot to the lead over Mickey's Town, followed by Raveneau, Diamond Shower. Bounding Away getting not much room between horses. Further out is Ring Joe at the 200, and it's Ring Joe sweeping to the lead over Diamond Shower and Bounding Away. Ring Joe drew well clear 100 metres out, and it's Johnny Marshall going for home in the Guineas. Look at little Bounding Away trying her heart out in second place, but Ring Joe wins the Guineas.
Ring Joe is one of only 5 first-crop foals sired by former top stayer Ring the Bell, a Rangong horse who won the New Zealand Derby in 1980 and ran such a gallant and close second to our Paddy Boy in the AJC Derby at Randwick. For jockey John Marshall, it was his second Rosehill Guineas in 3 years, having been associated with Spirit of Kingston's 1985 triumph.
At this point, we would like to pay tribute to Maya Card, one of the outstanding performers of 1987, and the colt the experts said was Australia's best staying 3-year-old since Kingston Town. Trainer Jeff Chapman gave Maya Card a light campaign in Brisbane in 1986 and then missed the spring with this developing youngster. When he resumed in the autumn, we saw a special horse indeed. After 3 excellent performances in defeat, we witnessed a sample of what Maya Card could do.
Wider out on the track at this stage is Evandale Star, and Maya Card with a big run around them. Then Military Plume under the whip. Ravener's well beaten into the straight. It's on the inside, Hunter's Ace, but Maya Card's grabbed it in a stride out wide. They've got it between them well clear, followed in third placing then by Evandale Star out wide and Princess Calabrina. But Maya Card went to the lead and is racing right away in the run home. Maya Card coming away will win by about 6 lengths. Hunter's Ace is battling on over on the rails with Princess Calabrina.
Maya Card then found the Moonee Valley circuit against him in the Alistair Clark Stakes before heading home to Rosehill, where, instead of tackling his own age in the Rosehill Guineas, he took on the might of Bone Crusher, Waverley Star and At Talek in the Group 1 Rawson Stakes over 2,000 metres at weight for age. The race had been billed as the Cox Plate rematch of the New Zealand chaps.
Down the back they run to the 1,000 metres mark, and Beal Bangara went further ahead. Opened up a break of 5 lengths on Waverley Star, a half length away. Bone Crusher on the outside, and Shane Dye in this war of nerves is not going to let our Waverley Star get too far away from him. He wants to keep him in sights every step of the way. At the 800, Beal Bangara by 2.5 lengths to our Waverley Star. Bone Crusher's about a length and a half away in third place, being heeled along a bit by Dye. Bone Crusher losing ground. Maya Card has gone up on the inside of him as they near the turn. 3 or 4 lengths away at Talac, followed by a bit like a hard-ridden but coming into it, and then Colour Page and Periscope as they turn for home. Beal Bangara the leader, our Waverley Star in second place. Dittman wondering where Bone Crusher is. He's about 2 lengths away on the outside, under the whip and struggling. Bone Crusher, our Waverley Star, exploded to the lead. Maya Card's the danger, if any. Bone Crusher in third place is labouring. Maya Card's the danger to our Waverley Star. Is it another Spear Chief and Ajax job as Maya Card ranges up to our Waverley Star? Bone Crusher 5 lengths away. Maya Card with Mark de Montfort going for home, and the 3-year-old Maya Card raced away to win it by 3 lengths to our Waverley Star.
Chapman told the Australian racing public 2 things. For starters, he genuinely believed Maya Card could beat the New Zealanders and cause what most saw as a Rawson Stakes boil-over. Secondly, he said Maya Card would be even better when his races were stepped up to 2,400 metres. 2 weeks later, the Chapman camp put their cards on the table when Maya Card again took on the big guns, minus an out-of-sorts Bone Crusher in the $500,000 Group 1 Bowater Tancred Stakes.
Now they've quickened up. Further back as Cossack Warrior. Barbarino Boy dropped the bit. He's being heeled along hard as they come to the 800 mark. Fox Seal second last, and a bit like her on the outside as last. Now again, Samara's moved up level with Imprimatur as they race down the side. In third place is Rising Fear. Our Waverley Star in fourth spot, being niggled a bit as they near the turn, followed by Maya Card on the outside from At Talac. Further back, Barbarino Boy, Cossack Warrior, Fox Seal, and a bit like her, our Waverley Star looking to get out away from the fence, and he's pushed his way into the clear now. Around the corner, Samara and Imprimatur, the 2 leaders, but our Waverley Star has pounced on them in a stride. Further out, Maya Card sprinting brilliantly, and Maya Card has rushed up and he's headed our Waverley Star. Maya Card headed our Waverley Star at the 200 mark. They've come away, they're going to fight it out, and the 3-year-old Maya Card again asserts his superiority. Again he ducked in, and again he checked our Waverley Star as he did in the Rawson Stakes. It's almost a carbon copy, and Maya Card wins by exactly the same length, I'd say, as the Rawson Stakes.
Having seen the form in the Canterbury and Rosehill Guineas, it will come as no surprise to learn Maya Card was a pronounced odds-on favourite for the Tooheys AJC Derby, this year worth a record $750,000, plus trophies of course. Soaking rain appeared to make the mud-loving Maya Card an even better thing.
Turf. Mark de Montfort has the mount. Now the gates open, off and running in the Derby, and Maya Card is one of the first out. Dungarvan began well, so did Imprimatur, followed by 1 Guinea, and bounding away, surprisingly one of the early leaders. Right off the track on the home turn, 1 Guinea with Cossack Warrior from Diamond Shower, and Ring Joe has held up for a run behind a wall of horses. Over the rise and bounding away has sprinted up. Maya Card getting a rails run, bounding away, got to the lead. Maya Card on the fences, coming at him now. My Precocious Lad running a big race, and right down the outside, Gendre, but Maya Card left them standing. Maya Card shot away at the 100 mark. Hail the new king. Maya Card rocketing away is going to win the Derby by a big margin out. He now gets into the millionaire class. Maya Card.
Let's watch again the progression of events which gave Maya Card that saloon passage along the rails. Mark de Montfort has ridden a brilliant race on Maya Card to make up his ground with no apparent effort. Shane Dyer's on the stablemate Imprimatur, who looks to his right and sees Maya Card right behind him. He then looks to his left, and Imprimatur begins to veer away from the rail, giving the run along the fence to the stablemate. Now, in the process, Balciano in the red and yellow colours is seriously hampered. Stewards opened an inquiry into the incident and eventually gave Dyer a suspension of 6 months for deliberately giving Maya Card the run on the fence. The irony for Dyer was twisted even further by the fact he was Maya Card's regular partner until he took the Rawson ride on Bone Crusher. Bill, as you will see later on, Maya Card was beaten in the Sydney Cup and in the 3 subsequent starts in Brisbane, but that shouldn't blur our memory of what has been a magnificent achievement for this particular horse.
We trust the 1986-87 Australasian racing year has served you well. Used with just a touch of foresight, it should provide you with valuable clues to the major races of the coming season. At the very least, it will provide you with a lasting reference of some of the great moments in the history of racing in this part of the world. But there's one thing of which I'm certain. Whatever the new season brings, this last racing year will be a tough act to follow.